What's going on, guys? It's NYPrepper here, and I have some breaking news to report to you guys today. We have the stock market crashing over 1.5% today. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 400 points. And the reason why is because of increasing number of COVID-19 infections around the United States and in Europe. So I wanted to just share this information with you guys and talk a little bit about what's going on. All right, because everybody's so hyper focused on this election we just had right now, and people are neglecting some things that are going on behind the scenes. And we have some very concerning information coming out now that New York City is considering another lockdown. The mayor of New York City said that he's willing to do another lockdown if necessary. This was just recently. The mayor of New York City said that, and they've actually already started locking down certain sections of New York City that have had higher infection rates. They've even gone as far as canceling religious ceremonies like weddings and forcing churches and synagogues to close down in certain areas. So, the mayor of New York City is already getting ready to use tyrannical force to lock down the city again. Cases are on the rise around the United States. We have hospitals in the Dakotas and in Montana that are supposedly at near capacity, which is, a concern for me because I was going to go there on vacation next month. But a lot of it could just be fake news. These numbers could be fake. I don't know. But bottom line is the numbers are going back up again within the United States and also around Europe. We've had France initiate mandatory curfews in every one of its major cities, including Paris. There's a curfew in Paris right now. You can't be outside past 9 p.m. If you are, you're liable to get arrested. And we also have the governor of New York State, Governor Cuomo, enacting an executive order, I guess, where he's forcing bars, restaurants, and gyms to close at 10 p.m. now, I think starting this weekend. And, so I find it very strange how right after the election, all these cases start to rise again. And now all these governors and politicians and different countries are starting to lock down again. I don't know if there's a connection there, but it's something to think about. Either way, I knew that this was going to happen months ago. I told you guys that there would possibly be more lockdowns. And I told you guys that this situation is not going to end anytime soon. And I was right. I told people that we're not going back to normal for at least 1 to 2 years. If not, it could be permanent. I told people that this vaccine may not work, and nobody wanted to believe me. And here we are. We're almost at the end of the year, and nothing is back to normal. There's a lot of people that are still out of work. And here we are on the verge of another possible shutdown of the country and more lockdowns around the world as the number of cases start to rise again. And we have no effective vaccine. And we don't even know how safe this vaccine would be. That new vaccine that just came out that they're testing right now from Pfizer. We don't know how safe it is. We don't know what's in this vaccine. We don't know if they're going to put chips in it. All right. We already had the Microsoft president, Bill Gates, say that they wanted to put chips inside of this vaccine. So, we don't know. There's a lot going on here. They're trying to rush this vaccine through. And it's a very strange time that we live in now. And with everything going on, it's really important that you guys continue to prep, okay? Because we could be heading into another major lockdown. And if that happens, you got to be ready for the possibility of food shortages, supply shortages, ammunition shortages. And now with Biden getting elected, there's going to be some crazy ammo and gun shortages. I actually was just at Cabela's last weekend in Pennsylvania. I was passing through the area to visit some family, and it's a ritual of mine to always stop in that Cabela's over there in Pennsylvania and just walk into the store and check some things out. And the entire ammo section was totally wiped out. There was only a few boxes of some bird shot left, and everything else was wiped out. Even the reloading section was wiped out. There were no powders available. The only powders that were left were some long shot powder, which I actually grabbed, and I'm going to use that for my 500 Magnum. But there was only two containers of powder left. Everything was wiped out. You're talking about 10 shelves of ammo, which is totally gone. All right. So, guys, the situation is getting serious. The New York City is starting to lock down again. They may do another curfew down there. There may be curfews in your area where you live. Okay. We don't know how strong this next lockdown would be because we have a new president now. We have Joe Biden coming in. So he could, use more stronger lockdown measures like curfews and shelter-in-place orders. They could, theoretically, they could impose a shelter-in-place order in the higher infected areas, the areas with the higher infections. They could impose, mandatory shelter-in-place orders like, the Chinese government did, where you basically are not allowed to leave your house for a certain period of time. And they could even have, curfews where you're not allowed after a certain time, or you're only allowed to go for certain things like, you're only allowed to leave your house if you're going to go to the grocery store, but you're not allowed to go to the range. You're not allowed to go hiking. You're not allowed to go to the woods to bushcraft. Okay. They may do something like that. And how is that enforceable? Well, all they got to do is just place, state troopers or National Guardsmen at critical highways, and they're going to stop you at a checkpoint, and they're going to ask you where you're going, what are you doing, and you're going to have to explain to them. And if they're not satisfied with your answer, then you could be arrested or whatever. But you got to be ready for these things, guys. We could have mandatory curfews. We could have shelter-in-place orders. The National Guard could even be deployed. It really depends on the leadership of the governors and the president. There's a very wide leeway as to what these, tyrannical governors and president can do. They can pretty much do whatever they want. If they want to deploy the National Guard tomorrow to your neighborhood and make you stay home all day and patrol the streets with armored vehicles, they could do that. Okay. And a lot of guys would say, well, the National Guard won't do that. They would defy the order. Well, if they defy the order, then they can get court-martialed and, go to jail for a very long time. So a lot of troops are not going to violate those orders. Maybe some of them will, but I wouldn't really bank on that and make that, the main point of your strategy. You should have a plan in place to deal with these things. All right. If there's a shelter-in-place order, if there's curfews, all right, if there's shortages of supplies, shortages of food, okay, what are you going to do? All right, what are you going to do about that? What if there's another lockdown and the economy totally crashes and you run out, you lose your job, or everybody around you loses their job, and suddenly you have people that may be trying to break into your home to get your supplies? Okay, you have to think about these things. You have to prep. Buy whatever you can now before things get bad. Do whatever you have to do now. if you got to go to the range and spend some time at the range and practice with your weapons, get everything zeroed in, do it now, okay? Because if there's a lockdown, they're not going to let you go to the range because they're not going to consider that essential, all right? If you want to do some bushcrafting and do some practice of your skills, survival skills, go and do that now, okay? Don't wait until there's a lockdown to suddenly say, damn, I wish I could go to the range now, or I wish I could practice my survival skills, all right? By then, it's going to be too late, all right? So you got to prep now. You got to practice your skills now. Make your plans now, okay? And, do all these things now before things get bad, all right? Because once SHTF hits, it's going to be too late to prepare, okay? So you got to prepare now, plan, practice, okay? Just like I say, prepare, practice, and persevere, all right? You got to make sure you have your plans, make sure you practice, and make sure you prep, okay? And don't forget to pray as well, okay? So, get all these things squared away now before potentially another lockdown comes. And again, we have a Democratic president now that's going to be sworn in, and he's more likely to do more extreme lockdown measures, not to mention possible gun confiscations we have to consider as well. But there's a lot of things going on with this virus now. I just released a video about a new mutation that was just discovered that came from mink, all right, the animal mink, a mink. The virus jumped to minks in farms, in fur farms, and then those minks, can transmit the virus back to people. And what happens is once the virus jumps to minks, the virus mutates inside of the mink, and then it comes back out as a different virus that can be spread to people, okay? And that's what was discovered. There was a new strain of the virus, of the coronavirus, discovered in mink, okay? And what's dangerous about that is all these workers that work at those mink farms were exposed to this new strain of the virus, especially in Denmark, where they have like millions and millions of mink. They're the largest mink farmer in the world. And there were all these people that got exposed to this mutated virus, and the virus that's mutated, it's not more dangerous or more deadly or more transmissible. The problem with it is that all the vaccines that are in development now are going to be useless against that new mutation. All right, and if that mutation spreads around the world, then all these vaccines, including the one that Pfizer was talking about, and everybody was, ranting and raving about the last few days, is going to be useless. All right. So don't get your hopes up for a vaccine, guys. To me, a vaccine is a pipe dream at this point. All right. And I would not bank on a vaccine. Even if they come out with one, I'm personally not going to take it. And that's just me. You can do whatever you want. I'm not telling you to do something, but pretty much that's it for this video. Just wanted to warn you guys that we could be facing more lockdowns. There's already lockdowns underway right now across the world. The cases are rising. They're already talking about canceling holidays and making all kinds of travel bans and stuff like that. The governor of New York is going to make it illegal to have gatherings of more than 10 people, which is basically going to cancel any kind of holiday travel and family that want to visit each other, and relatives coming over to your house if you live in New York like I do. So the tyrannical lockdowns may be coming back. They're already coming back to a certain degree. So be ready, guys. Prep yourselves. Stay ready. Now's not the time to slow down your preps. Continue to prep. Continue to practice your skills. Mentally prep yourself, and don't forget to pray as well. All right, pray and get right with God, because Jesus Christ is our Savior. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.